Atheist Nomads, episode 158, news for August 4, 2016.
The podcast you're about to listen to includes cursing and talking about hoo-haws. Please be advised.
We are the Atheist Nomads, bringing you history, science, politics, religion, and interviews with leaders in the atheist community. Not all those who wander are lost. Welcome to another episode of Atheist Nomads. I am Dustin. Joining me as always is Wesley.
Hello, everybody.
And joining us tonight, or today, or whatever time of day you are listening, is my lovely wife, Lauren.
I am your life.
I did, yeah, that might have been a Freudian
And your
slip.
wife.
Yeah.
And I'm here.
Yes, you are. So how's everybody doing?
Fairly shitty. Let's move on.
Yeah, I've been feeling pretty bad too, so.
Well, but Lauren and I did have an awesome weekend.
Oh, wait, yeah, that was fun.
It was
yeah?
exhausting, but it was fun. We drove out Friday to Grants Pass to see my family, and then found out that we'd had some more cancellations for the rafting trip, so that was canceled. And
shitty.
then we decided to take the lemons and make lemonade, so we went to the beach. It's only an extra 2-hour drive. Actually got to drive through some redwoods on the way there as well, so it's always nice seeing the massive redwoods.
Redwoods and cedar and pine. And it was awesome. It was great. We went to Crissy Field State Park and Harris State Park.
Yep.
Yes, and I got to see cute little crabs and anemones.
Well, I'm fucking surrounded by pine trees, so meh. But cedar, love cedar. Redwoods
Yeah, but
cool too, though.
are you surrounded by sequoia?
Not so much.
That's awesome.
We also saw some of the carnivorous plants there
Yay!
right before we headed back.
Cobra lilies, California pitcher plants. They're awesome.
I'll
Even
tell you
if,
that me and Meredith, though, we got a big-ass camping trip planned for this weekend. Yay!
oh, awesome.
Yeah. Go over to the Dosey Wallop State Park.
Oh, nice.
Up on the, so over on the west side of the Hood Canal in Washington State.
Very cool. Yeah, the next 2 weekends we've got family reunions. Next weekend with Lauren's Mormon family, and then the weekend after that with my Adventist family.
Oh my. That'll be fun.
There'll be haystacks of different kinds and lots of people not drinking alcohol.
Yes.
Bring a hip flask. or even better, bring a Camelback filled with wine. Meredith approves.
Yeah, I'll have my Star Trek flask with me. Yeah. Anyway,
that's the spirits.
I'm sure many of you have picked up on or noticed I have been fiddling around with the setup for the last, all year. I have not been able to be satisfied with any configuration, and one of the reasons for that was the fact that I was starting two competing objectives at around the same time. Video and separating out Wesley and guest audio, regardless of whether or not either or both was recording their own sides. And I was also finding that video was making me... I thought it was going to bring some of the fun back to that I might have lost with podcasting. No, it took away whatever fun was there.
Oh shit!
Yeah, so we have decided that we are doing live video will be a rare and special occasion, not the norm, unlike it has been for a few weeks. And as far as doing video in some fashion for much of this year. So for the 0.7% of you that have been watching us on YouTube, I am sorry. But
and for you 0.7 that have actually been watching us on video, what the fuck?
I have boobies.
we will still have every...
Hey, I have boobies.
Oh, that's enough to watch right there.
We will still
All
have
right.
every episode on YouTube. They just won't all have video with them. So, yeah. And one of those special events that will be coming up is going to be September 24. We are doing live streamathon raising money for Light the Night. Lauren and I will both be walking with the Treasure Valley Coalition of Reason team for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society's Light the Night, raising money to help patients with blood cancer and help fund research to fight those cancers. And as the son of a lymphoma survivor, this is a cause that is definitely special to me. So we're going to be going for 12 hours from 1 p.m. Mountain to 1 a.m. Mountain, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll have various guests coming in studio or remotely. This will all be live streamed, and there will be a drinking game. Basically, if you give lots of money, I will get very drunk.
And maybe a game of Oregon Trail.
Yes, that would definitely be fun.
Because drunk Dustin playing Oregon Trail just sounds like fun. I would love to see him get mad at dysentery.
Anyway, let's go ahead and move on to dusting off the degree. We're talking about conscientious objection today. This is a topic that, in its broadest form, applies to anyone who refuses to do something because of their religious beliefs. So there are people who could claim that refusing to bake cakes for gay people is conscientious objection. Generally, it's used to refer to people who, based on their religious views, refuse to fight in a war. So you'll have people who will be drafted after registering as a conscientious objector, or in some cases even volunteer for military service as a conscientious objector. And then when people end up doing that, and in some cases they will actually object to any kind of military service. So in some countries, they will be allowed non-military forced labor for the government as an alternative. But generally speaking, conscientious objectors get to serve in non-combat roles or as medics. One of the most famous examples of this was Desmond Doss. He was a Seventh-day Adventist, and he volunteered for Army service in 1942. That would have actually taken him out of line with what the Adventist Church was directing people to do at that time, because at that point, Adventists were 100% pacifists. They did not believe volunteering was justifiable under any circumstances, and that if you did go in, you had to be a pacifist as a conscientious objector. Now, so Doss he'd already deviated a bit. He wanted to make sure that he didn't violate any of his religious beliefs, so he didn't want to have to do any work on the Sabbath or have to bear arms and kill people. So he figured out that being a medic would actually solve both of those issues, because Jesus healed people on the Sabbath, so doing medical duty would be fine. That's a rather common workaround you'll find that Adventists will make. And he actually was the first conscientious objector to ever get the Medal of Honor.
Woohoo! Of course, he had to almost die a billion times to get it.
Yes. I got a link to the Wikipedia article on him in the show notes that includes the full citation. But
there was also an episode on, what podcast was it?
Stuff You Missed in History Class. This would have been about a week ago.
It's awesome.
There's a documentary about him. There's lots of books about him. But he was a medic. He was with the 1st Battalion of some division. Anyway, they were engaged in Okinawa, April 29 to May 21 of 1945. And during one particular multi-day battle, he was having to drag soldiers away from mortar fire and rifle fire to an edge of a cliff and then lower them down to other aid down below. He refused to ever take cover himself. He would run out into right into the line of fire to get people and drag them away. There was one occasion where he ran several hundred yards in front of the front line to grab someone to get him back. And
What was that person doing out there anyway?
yeah, 200 yards forward of the lines. That's not smart. There was one point where he saved 4 men who had been cut down while assaulting a cave, and went through a shower of grenades, and got within 8 yards of the enemy forces in the cave's mouth. Then he dressed the wounds before taking 4 separate trips to evacuate them to safety, all while getting shot at the entire time. And there was even one point where he got hit. He refused treatment until he got everybody else taken care of. And somebody was finally trying to help him, but then had to drag somebody else over to the aid station. And he got shot again by a sniper, shattering his left arm. And he took a rifle stock and made a bandage and splint out of it and drug himself to the aid station.
I mean, this guy was like, I don't know, like one of those mega bosses in a video game. He just won't die. Keeps coming back.
Yeah, pretty much.
And then at the end of the war, he contracted tuberculosis and lost a lung.
Yeah, about like that.
Yeah. It took him years to recover from his injuries from those several days there on Okinawa. But this man, he was a hero of not only his battalion, but of the 77th Infantry Division. He got the Congressional Medal of Honor. There have been highways named after him.
Kind of sounds like one of George Hrab's indestructible bastards, or whatever he calls it. Where the dude just won't fucking die.
Yeah. He absolutely impressive. He was quite the hero, and he did all of it without ever firing a shot. Now, generally speaking, there have been 2 other conscientious objectors, neither of whom were Adventists, who served as medics in Vietnam, and they got the Medal of Honor. But generally speaking, conscientious objection only applies to military service. It is considered special to be asked to kill someone.
Yeah.
As opposed to any other duties. And this is actually protected in 2 different resolutions from the UN Commission on Human Rights. These are resolutions 1995/83 and 1998/77. And it is considered to be a protected human right for you to be able to refuse to take another's life if your religious beliefs dictate that you don't kill.
What about your non-religious beliefs? I mean, what could you claim to be a conscientious objector if you're an atheist?
Or as a humanist?
There have actually been a few cases where this has worked out.
Humanist.
We had one friend who was trying to get that status, and he actually got a discharge instead. There was one woman we talked about recently, within the last couple of years. She was trying to get citizenship. She was in her 60s. There's no way she would have ever been called into military service. But as a humanist, she refused the part of the oath of citizenship that said that she would fight for the country. And she actually had to get American Humanist Association lawyers to work on her behalf to get her that privilege.
Wow. That's awesome. Like, I would never want to kill somebody. I don't think I would be capable of it. But then again, people are capable of terrible things.
Yeah.
I would be much more comfortable in the medic side of things if there were a theoretical draft. Of course, I would never be allowed in there because of all of my ailments.
Your asthma would disqualify you.
My physical and mental ailments.
Yeah.
They're awesome.
But, and what one of the things that angers me with all the bullshit recently with people trying to get out of doing their jobs because of their religious beliefs is the fact that this calls into question all conscientious objection, including the military variety. And it's a huge topic. We've talked about it plenty of times, and we probably shouldn't go too deep into it this time.
Yeah, we had quite the discussion in the car
when
we were driving back from Oregon. And we've discovered that I'm a little bit more lenient. I am willing to let people get away with conscientious objection a little bit more than Dustin would, but
Or I basically draw the line. If you are forced into military service, you shouldn't be forced to kill people.
Well, I feel that if you volunteer for military service, you should also be allowed to not have to kill people. What do you think? Share your thoughts. ...
If you volunteer, you're asking for it.
You're volunteering to kill people. That's what military service means.
Yeah.
I just don't necessarily
Unless you're joining the
think
Coast Guard, you're pretty much assured.
There's plenty of people who would love to help the big machine without having to kill somebody. I think there would be more people willing to do
The sole purpose of the machine is to kill. If you honestly have a problem with killing people,
peacekeeping missions, she says
kill.
with tongue in cheek.
Yeah.
If you seriously have an objection to killing people, I don't see how you could ever voluntarily serve in the military.
Well, I bet there are people out there who ended up doing just that.
Desmond Doss did.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually kind of ridiculous.
I'm not claiming that it's not ridiculous. Now, I don't know anybody who'd want to join the military, but like I don't know. I know a lot of people who they've got nothing left, you know. They can't go to college, they can't get a job.
Join the fucking Peace Corps.
The Peace Corps would be, or AmeriCorps, that would be awesome.
All right. So, Wesley, what do you have for us for history?
This day in history. The date, August 4th. Starting with the year, 1958. The Billboard Hot 100 is published for the first time. Moving on along. The year, 1987. The Federal Communications Commission, the FCC, rescinds the Fairness Doctrine, which had required radio and television stations to present controversial issues, quote-unquote, fairly.
And Fox News was born.
I believe back in the day this was actually a useful thing. The Fairness Doctrine was a policy of the U.S., and it was introduced back in 1949, and it required that holders of broadcast licenses both to present controversial issues of public importance and to do so in a manner that was, in the Commission's view, honest, equitable, and balanced. FCC eliminated the doctrine in 1987, but it took till like 2011 until they actually removed the verbiage from their policy.
Wow.
But anyways, the Fairness Doctrine had two basic elements. It required broadcasters to devote some of their airtime to discussing controversial matters of public interest and to air contrasting views regarding those matters. The main agenda for the doctrine was to ensure that viewers were exposed to a diversity of viewpoints. Like in this 1969 textbook case, the United States Courts of Appeals, in an opinion written by Warren Burger, directed the FCC to revoke Lamar Broadcasting's license for television station WLBT due to the station's segregationist politics and ongoing censorship of NBC Network News coverage of the U.S. Civil Rights Movement.
Oh.
So, yes. Well, I really like the idea of the Fairness Doctrine. I feel it would be perverted today and really taken advantage of. A lot of the news I see shows me newscasters that feel they need to tell a balanced story by giving equal time to opposing views. And even if it's like a crackpot,
no matter what the views.
Yeah, even if it's like crackpot shit, like a proper medicine versus homeopathy, giving equal time, if not equal credence to them both.
Yeah, it's one of those things that makes sense with
when people are playing fair.
When people are playing fair, and when it's matters of actual controversy.
Yeah,
in it's a purely political matter, like which economic model should we base our tax policy on? That's an area, okay, that's one where there's genuine controversy, and yes, doing fair coverage makes sense. But when it comes down to scientific and medical facts, fair time is not fair.
Well, if they want to do equal and fair in that, then they need to have 99 doctors and one homeopath.
That would be awesome. It would be like watching British Parliament. They're just breaking into fights.
Oh, and I want to tag a side note onto this one. The fairness doctrine should not be confused with the equal time rule. The fairness doctrine deals with discussion of controversial issues, while the equal time rule deals only with political candidates.
Okay.
I just found that quite interesting.
Mm-hmm. And that hasn't even really been followed since Donald Trump has gotten way more airtime than anybody else.
Well, yeah.
But then again, we're also going to be giving him a decent amount of our internet time.
Yeah, so hooray, more Trump.
Yeah.
Moving on along, here's a short one, but an important one. This day in history, 1993, a federal judge sentences Los Angeles Police Department officers Stacy Kuhn and Lawrence Powell to 30 months in prison for violating motorists Rodney King's civil rights. Yeah, most people have probably heard about Rodney King at some point in their life. Everybody's heard, can't we all just get along? And seriously, March 3rd, 1991, he got beat down after he was speeding and drunk driving around LA. Cops used stupid amounts of excessive force, fractured his skull in a few places, broke teeth, broke his ankle, fucked up his kidney, permanent brain damage. He ended up basically, when all of the officers got acquitted, soon after that, that's when the LA riots of 1992 broke out, which 55 people were killed, over 2,000 injured, and pretty much ended only when the California National Guard was called in. And even then, it took a fucking while. I remember being terrified of that shit when I was a kid. You know, I didn't understand why in the fuck cops were doing that shit. But man, oh man. So anyways, yeah, the four cops got acquitted. And then on a second trial, 2 were still acquitted, and then, the other 2 got 30 months. But holy shit. Yeah.
Wow. 30 months, not a whole lot of time.
No, not so much.
And this definitely also fits with what Ishmael said 2 weeks ago, that nothing's different now than it was before.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially when you look at the extent of his injuries, you're like, oh, hey, yeah.
The extent of his injuries and the riot.
Thank fucking God for video cameras. I mean, cell phones now, but still.
All right, it's time for politics and religion after a quick break. Atheist Nomads is proudly brought to you by Archway Hosting. Check out their low-price, full-featured hosting solutions at archwayhosting.com. That's ARCHWAY hosting.com.
Hey, we're also brought to you by listeners just like you. Find out how you can become a patron at patreon.com/atheist nomads. That's patreon.com/atheist nomads.
One of the 20,000 emails that were leaked from the DNC was from Brad Marshall, who was at the time the chief financial officer. And he sent it to 3 other DNC members on May 5 of this year. And this email was about Bernie Sanders. And it read, subject, no shit. It might make no difference, but for Kentucky and West Virginia, can we get someone to ask his belief? Does he believe in a God? He is skated on saying he has a Jewish heritage. I think I read he is an atheist. This could make several points difference with my peeps. My Southern Baptist peeps would draw a big difference between a Jew and an atheist. There was a reply from the DNC CEO, Amy Dacey, that simply read, Amen. Hillary Clinton claims to have not been aware of this and said that religion has no place in the political process. Sanders was asked about this on CNN, and I have the audio of his response.
Well, first of all, I am not an atheist, but aside from all of that, I mean, it is an outrage.
He, of course, went on quite a bit further than that, but yeah. Anyway, as of Tuesday, the date of recording, Dacey, Marshall, and the communications director Luis Miranda have resigned because of what's been found in the thousands of leaked emails. And Debbie Wasserman Schultz, now the former chair of the DNC, resigned last week.
And was promptly hired by Hillary.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, cronyism is alive and well.
And the woman that replaced her is no better than Debbie.
Yeah,
Just
well,
another mouthpiece.
There's obviously, with all the dropouts as of today, there's lots of shakeup happening.
Mm-hmm. Well,
yeah, but they ain't falling far from the tree, though.
When you're breaking the rules and not being neutral in the campaign, then, head should roll. It's just sad that it took actually getting caught because of leaked emails for that to happen. But it's definitely concerning that the head, or not the head, but one of the top officials in the major political party that is most friendly to atheists thought that labeling a candidate an atheist as a negative thing would be a viable campaign tactic.
Yeah, that was the dick move. It was like, oh, thanks, but no thanks.
And the response he got from the head of the DNC was amen. Oh, fuck.
Yeah, well, I hope American Atheists and humanists, I hope they all just jump down their throats with some angry letters.
Yeah, I know the CFI called for Marshall's resignation. I'm sure American Humanist Association and American Atheists have done similar. Heck, even the national level Interfaith Alliance decried this email as being unthinkable in our country.
I thought Kennedy was famously Catholic and famous for trying to keep it out of the office.
The office, and he did a very famous speech when he was running for office that assured everyone that he believes in the firm wall of separation between church and state.
Yeah. Why couldn't the fucking DNC take a fucking page out of that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Keep that shit separate.
Yeah, because when it comes down, it's a dog eat dog world, and they wanted to make sure their
dog won.
Their bitch was on top. Oh no! Actually,
I didn't go there.
I'm actually a Hillary supporter at this point, so
yeah.
I'm just funning.
I'm a not
just
Trump
funning.
supporter.
Exactly.
That's my position. I'm a not Trump supporter.
I am not enthusiastic about Hillary, but I would consider myself a supporter of her at this point in time because she is far, far better than the alternative.
Yeah.
Now, speaking of the alternative,
sorry, that shouldn't have just caused me to burst out laughing, but
no, please, let's talk about the Cheeto.
During his acceptance speech, Donald Trump said that he wants to repeal the Johnson Amendment, the very law that prevents nonprofit organizations from being directly involved in politics. Let's go ahead and listen to what he had to say.
At this moment, I would like to thank the evangelical and religious community because I'll tell you what, the support that they've given me, and I'm not sure I totally deserve it, has been so amazing and has had such a big reason for me being here tonight. True. So true. They have much to contribute to our politics, yet our laws prevent you from speaking your minds from your own pulpits. An amendment pushed by Lyndon Johnson many years ago threatens religious institutions with a loss of their tax-exempt status if they openly advocate their political views. Their voice has been taken away. I am going to work very hard to repeal that language and to protect free speech for all Americans.
I have never heard Trump lick an asshole so vigorously.
I threw up a little in my mouth.
I think that's the first time I've heard him make a coherent thought.
I mean, seriously, this guy is always I, me. I mean, he was like
coherent about
thanking people.
Yeah, and he didn't repeat himself over and over.
Teleprompter.
Oh yeah. But despite the teleprompter, he still repeated himself quite a bit, and still had a hard time making complete sentences and coherent thoughts. But the problem with his argument there is that the Johnson Amendment doesn't prevent nonprofits from getting involved with political issues. There wasn't any.
It's candidates.
It's candidates, yes.
Well, that's what he's arguing for. He wants these people to say, "Yay, Trump!"
But the way he worded it was, if they openly advocate their political views.
Well, they openly advocate and are allowed to advocate their hate for abortion or whatever topic they want to.
The Mormon Church spent...
But they can't fucking pimp a candidate.
Mm-hmm. The Mormons spent millions on Prop 8 in California in 2008.
Yeah.
But they weren't able to endorse a candidate. But the problem here is nonprofits are free to endorse candidates if they want to pay taxes. Yeah. The only thing with the rule, and it applies to all nonprofit organizations, is that they cannot endorse candidates. And the whole reason for that is because it could really fuck up an election if the top cardinal for the Catholic Church in the U.S. endorsed a candidate. And then the head of the Southern Baptist Convention also endorsed the same candidate. And then the Mormon prophet endorsed the same candidate. And
if you got a whole bunch of heads of churches telling people you're going to go to fucking hell if you don't vote this guy in, then yeah, that's fucked up. And you deserve to lose your tax exempt status.
Yeah.
At a minimum.
It seems fair. This also means that Dave Silverman, head of American Atheists, can't endorse a candidate. Because American Atheists is a nonprofit organization, and as such, they can't do that either. That's something
we take with. I mean, that's just something we accept.
Yeah, that's something with the Treasure Valley Coalition of Reason. It's TV Core itself is not a nonprofit organization, but several of our members are. And as a result, we are following that same rule. So if we end up lobbying the state government on anything, we're sticking to issues and we're not getting into the political candidate side of things. We'll argue to get the faith healing exemptions repealed, but we aren't going to directly attack any politicians who are up for re-election who are trying to protect those laws, because that's part of the deal. And I think it's a fair deal. And at the Democratic convention, Khizr Khan spoke with his wife at his side, and I did a decent amount of editing of what he said for length. It wasn't particularly long. I do recommend watching the full speech, but here's a little bit of what he had to say.
Tonight we are honored to stand here as parents of Captain Humayun Khan and as patriotic American Muslims. Our son Humayun had dreams too. He put those dreams aside the day he sacrificed his life to save the lives of his fellow soldiers. Hillary Clinton was right when she called my son the best of America. If it was up to Donald Trump, he never would have been in America. Donald Trump consistently smears the character of Muslims. He disrespects other minorities, women, judges, even his own party leadership. He vows to build walls and ban us from this country. Donald Trump, you're asking Americans to trust you with their future. Let me ask you, have you even read the United States Constitution?
Right after that, he pulled his pocket constitution out of his coat and offered to loan it to Trump. After this, Trump took the bait. He criticized the Khan family. He claimed that Trump himself has sacrificed for his country by being a businessman and being successful. He also
being a draft dodger.
Yeah. He also suggested that Ghazala Khan was silent because she wasn't allowed to speak by her husband, and Ghazala later clarified that she was silent because she finds it difficult to speak about her son and didn't want to get emotional up on stage. And this has gotten Trump a lot of criticism from basically everyone,
including tons of Republicans, which is lovely.
The VFW has come out against him. Pretty much every Republican has come out against him. One congressman has actually switched his allegiance over to Hillary Clinton over this. And one person who's still backing him up is Mike Huckabee, who said this on Fox News. He didn't get away with it on Fox News either.
Nobody can argue with that. Nobody can argue with the heroism of his son or the love of country that this father and his son have for America. That's just indisputable. So I want to be sure that everyone understands that I don't think a person looks at that speech as a partisan. But the one thing that always has to be put into perspective is that Donald Trump has not said that this young man would not have been allowed into the country, because this family came to America because they wanted to come and be Americans. And his son proved how much he wanted to be by the sacrifice that he made. But Donald Trump doesn't want to make sure that every Muslim never comes to America. But he does want to make sure that when people come, whoever they are, not just Muslims, but whoever they are, if they immigrate to this country, they immigrate because they want to assimilate and be Americans.
Donald J. Trump is calling for a total and complete shutdown of Muslims entering the United States until our country's representatives can figure out what the hell is going on.
Yeah, two totally different things there.
Yeah. No.
But still equating to the same thing. It's un-American.
How much more blatantly could you violate the Establishment Clause of the First Amendment if you prohibit immigration based on religion?
Well, you see, the Constitution and the Bill of Rights is kind of like the Bible. You can pick and choose which parts you like to adhere to.
Obviously.
And then you could run for president and convince everybody else that that's the way to do it, too.
And, considering the fact that his favorite book of the Bible is Corinthians 2, he'd probably call it Amendment 1. Oh, fuck. Man, this is the fact that, Trump has taken a huge dive in the polls after this.
Huge.
So it's encouraging to see that he is finally tanking. I'm amazed it's taken this long. But
I'm not.
If it took one Muslim man from a Gold Star family talking about his son to do it, then awesome.
Fucking Trump, was it back in January? He said that he could shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue or kill a person on Fifth Avenue and nothing would change.
Mm-hmm.
I pretty much still believe that. The people that are going to vote Trump are still going to vote Trump.
Yeah.
There aren't too many that are undecided. And for those people that have been supporting Trump to switch their vote to Hillary.
Oh, they're not going to switch their vote to Hillary. They're going to switch their vote to Johnson.
Johnson?
Go Libertarian. And by doing that, split the conservative vote, which means there's a chance Hillary could win some states with, 40% of the vote.
Which is exactly the problem with the politics, with having third and fourth party candidates. Uh-huh. I'm just glad that it's actually we're doing it for our side this time.
What is it? Runoff vote where you pick, like if you have 10 candidates, you pick from your first choice down to your last.
That would be nice. Yes,
that would be ideal. But
single transferable vote is what that's called.
I still see the exact same problem for Hillary with Jill Stein, though.
Stein is polling much, much lower than Johnson is.
Yeah, she's been pandering to the wrong people.
Yeah,
maybe so. Well, we're going to talk about her more in a minute, but I still think that, a lot of Bernie supporters don't know where they're going, and a lot of them are talking about Stein and going that direction, which is, sure, I say anybody but Trump, but I'm not going for Stein or any of the other third parties. So
one benefit there is most, or at least a big chunk of Bernie supporters have never voted before. So if they throw away their vote, it doesn't actually make a difference.
Just like they've always been led to believe.
We're going to take a break before we talk about some more right-wing nut jobs.
All right.
We love hearing from our listeners. You can email us at contact@atheistnomads.com, tweet us @atheistnomads, send us a message on our Facebook page at facebook.com/atheistnomads, or better yet, call us and leave us a message at 541-203-0666. We might even play it on the show. You can also help us out by leaving us a review on iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcast directory of choice. We don't give the likes of Jim Baker much attention on this show because, well, he's a crazy right-wing nut job.
That's
and
totally
everybody
true.
knows he's crazy. But when he says something like this, it's just too hard to pass up.
If Donald Trump isn't elected, I'm afraid if we have another 4 years, we will not even be able to function. I believe that they'll shut me down. I believe they're going to shut anybody outside the church, all religious activity down.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice?
Wow. Yeah, shut down all religious activity. That's exactly what Hillary was suggesting when she announced her vice presidential, her running mate with a tweet.
The Catholic? Yeah.
Yeah, with a tweet which had the first point on things you don't know about Tim Kaine is that he was a missionary.
Oh, yeah.
That was number one on her little meme she put out. Wanted to make sure everybody knows that her guy he was a missionary. He's a good Catholic.
He was a missionary to
he's
Honduras.
A good white middle-aged man.
Middle-aged man who went to a Latin American country.
And he loves showing off the fact that he knows Spanish. It's just
it really was the perfect pick, actually.
I think Jim Baker's just afraid he won't be able to sell his giant 5-gallon buckets of slop to everybody anymore. Because, he used to run a mega church, and now he just, sells buckets of food for doomsday preppers and puts a religious wrapper on it.
Huh. Yeah, there's no way that religious media is going to be shut down by liberals. By the same people by anyone. Yeah. It's just not going to happen.
Mm-mm.
Now we also have Phil Robertson of Duck Dynasty, who has a plan for
awesome.
What he'll do if Trump loses. The only audio I found for this is too poor for me to subject you to. But he said that if Trump isn't elected, that he's going to head into the woods and go into hiding.
God, wouldn't that be nice?
Mm-hmm. Can only hope. Ah, man.
This clean-cut, all-American-looking family only went dirty and scungy when they started getting popular with all this duck shit.
Uh-huh.
Man, you need to look up some of those photos. They're like...
Oh, yeah.
Fucking white bread and all-American and apple pie and all that shit.
Yeah. All right. And, okay, back to Jill Stein, who is a medical doctor and the Green Party presidential candidate. And yes, I have also seen quite a few Bernie supporters that have been talking about backing her. I honestly think this is a terrible idea on many fronts, including the fact that she's been in quite the controversy over vaccines. She's been saying that she has unanswered questions about vaccines, that she thinks they shouldn't be mandatory, and that she understands why people don't trust them because of the, quote, medical industrial complex and Monsanto.
Oh, God. Yeah,
Which-
because Monsanto has so much to do with vaccines.
Yeah.
And by so much, I mean zero.
Yeah. And the medical industrial complex, if you want to call it that, yeah, they do most of the research on their medication because nobody else wants to do research on their medications, and they have the funding to make it happen. But that research is always evaluated by independent, non-industry people before it gets approved. So she doesn't know what the hell she's talking about. And speaking of her not knowing what the hell she's talking about, she has some thoughts about Wi-Fi that were discovered recently from back in March.
We should not be subjecting kids' brains especially to that. And, you know, we don't follow that issue in this country, but in Europe where they do, you know, they have good precautions around wireless. Maybe not good enough, you know, because it's very hard to study this stuff. You know, we make guinea pigs out of whole populations and then we discover how many die.
What?
Yeah, and by how many die, we mean zero.
Uh-huh. Because if we're talking about Wi-Fi, that's radio waves. We have lots of data on what impact radio waves have on people. We have been broadcasting them all around the world since the 20s?
A little early, but yeah.
And what effect have they had? Zero?
Not only zero, but they've even done tests on the stronger stuff, the cell phone signals that are right up against your face, and zero.
Those are still weaker than radio signals.
But that's one that people tend to go to.
They tend to focus on that. Yeah.
They focus on that one, but it's still weaker than the amount of radiation you get from radio antennas. When you've got 10,000 watt transmitters in the middle of cities, and not just one or two of them, but often dozens of them. And if you're out in a place like the Midwest, there are so many of those that you can't even find a blank frequency on the dial. I tried when I hit Nebraska and when I was headed out to Michigan, and I was using one of those FM transmitters, and I got into Nebraska, like barely crossed the border, and I discovered that I couldn't find any FM frequency I could use. Everything was used.
When you're in country that flat, you know, the signals just travel for fucking ever.
Mm-hmm. But we have so much of that. And what it really comes down to is if you're talking about electromagnetic radiation, nothing we have ever done comes anywhere close to the sun.
Bum, bum, bum.
Bum, bum, bum. Cancer.
You would expect that a fucking medical doctor would not be this stupid, and I'm guessing she's not. I would suspect that she is as slimy of a pandering piece of shit as all of the other candidates, and she's just trying to pander to the extreme left.
Yes, I would agree with that.
I mean, I've even seen maybe not pro, but open to the possibility of homeopathy in her stance also.
That's like a curse word in this house.
Yeah. If you don't like Hillary, that's fine.
We get it.
We get it. She's competent and capable. Not necessarily trustworthy, but she is competent and capable. And regardless of whether or not she's trustworthy, we know exactly what we're going to get from her. And it's at least not taking us in the wrong direction. And someone who's willing to pander to crazy left-wing conspiracy theories is no more suitable for the White House than someone who's pandering to right-wing conspiracy theories like Donald fucking Trump.
Amen.
And for a little bit of a lighter story, actually we got two lighter stories now. The Satanic Temple has a new initiative to launch after-school Satan clubs, but this is only for schools that already have Christian clubs.
Sounds good so far.
Yeah, which, if, and more likely when, these clubs are rejected, the schools will be obligated to also stop the Christian clubs.
Yay! Which is the Satanic Temple's point in the first place.
Yep. Now, in response to all of this, Franklin Graham tweeted and posted to Facebook, pray for parents and school leadership to have wisdom to refuse these after-school Satan clubs.
Oh, yeah. By all means, please. Let the lawsuits start and then close down the Christian clubs.
Yeah. The sad thing is, Graham actually has a lot of influence over a lot of people. I just hope none of those people actually run schools.
Well, Franklin Graham has a famous last name. That's all he has.
Yeah, he's got influence in his own right.
Well, I mean, they almost did the same thing to us in the school that I grew up with, where we wanted a PFLAG club.
A what?
And our PFLAG is, what is it? Parents? No.
Was it a
PFLAG? Parents and Friends of Lesbians and Gays. It was like the early LGBT friendly organizations.
So along the lines of Gay Straight Alliance.
Yes, that's kind of like the new what it would be called. Well, our vice principal decided that if the law says that they have to have all equal clubs, then they would have no clubs, to avoid having to endorse this gay club. So that was great until all of the football parents found out that the football team was part of the football club, and it's just been shut down. So as soon as their sports were touched, people are like, we don't care about them. Let them have their gay little club. It was actually a really cool lesson about how things work. But
awesome.
It's not just the religious clubs. It's in some states and some laws, it's all clubs.
Yeah.
And nobody's going to stand for that.
Oh, man. If you listen to any other atheist podcast, you've already heard about how Christians are responding to Pokemon Go.
Sorry.
And I just got to level 19 today.
Yay.
Oh, I'm on 20. Nice.
Oh, nice.
Doing good.
But apparently, despite the game not being released to Saudi Arabia, some people have gotten a hold of the game and have been caught catching Pokemon in Mecca, with a gym allegedly being over the Kaaba. Yeah.
That's awesome.
They've even got a picture of Pikachu right over the the rock in the middle.
Gosh.
Nice.
Go Pikachu.
Yeah. Oh, man. Pokemon was already covered by a fatwa back in like 2001, but it's questionable as to whether or not this is still in effect, and some have tried to make it very clear that there has been no fatwa issued against Pokemon Go, but there are still some clerics who really don't want you playing that in Mecca.
Yeah, there's a time and place, and I even though it's hilarious, I would have to agree that is not the place to go play.
But then again, we have Pokestops at almost every church, and there's a gym at the Mormon temple here.
This is true. Yeah.
Fair is fair.
In Pokemon and churches.
All right, let's go ahead and take our last break, and we'll be back with science.
As a listener of the show, I'm going to assume you love my sexy vocal stylings. If you love the rest of the show as much as my voice, consider giving us the resources we desperately need to purchase quality cocaine and Red Bull. We make it super easy to make a one-time donation or to support us on a per episode, monthly, or even annual basis using PayPal or Patreon. Find out more at atheistnomads.com. Use the links on the right side of the page. $1 an episode is all we ask.
Lauren, what do you have for us for science?
Science! Today, we are going to discuss a new study that was published in Nature Genetics, which is behind a paywall, so I couldn't actually read the article. But Time did a great write-up on it, and what it explains is that there was a huge collaborative effort between Massachusetts General Hospital, Pfizer Pharmaceuticals, and 23andMe. The analysis included information from 460,000 subjects, separated by those with no history of depression, those who have visited a doctor at least once for depression, and those with active depression. After comparing the genes between control and experimental groups, 15 discrete genes were found to have some kind of link to depression. That's huge for those of us with said mental illness. It is nice to know that there might be a genetic link to it. I personally am almost positive of it because my father and his father and apparently his father all had it. So I was screwed. This was all thanks to 23andMe using anonymous data from the 1 million plus users that have agreed to allow their genetics to be used for research.
Very nice.
Which is awesome. And I highly, encourage anybody who does those kind of programs to click the box that says, yes, please use me for research. It is anonymous. It will never come back on you, but it's helping push some of these cool studies.
Mm-hmm. Now, of course, it is definitely worth noting that this is very preliminary, and it's going to take a lot more work to actually prove if there is a connection there.
Yeah, it would probably need another study that is about twice as big as that one.
Yeah.
And that had 500,000 people, so, there's always steps ahead. But, in other interesting news, there is a ROV called the Nautilus that is searching what is called the California borderland. It's the part of the Pacific Ocean that's right off the coast of California. And the Nautilus discovered a blob-like creature that had an intense purple color. That's pretty cool. You don't see bright purple very often in the ocean, but when you do, it sticks out.
Wow.
They believe it is a pleurobranch, which is a type of gastropod related kind of to the nudibranch family. Nudibranch. But they've never had any documentation of a purple one, so this is a new discovery. They went ahead and took a sample, aka they grabbed it, and they found 2 distinct lobes. It is a unique little species and probably the first one to be documented. So sweet. You can go to www.nautiluslive.org. That's NAUTILUSLIVE.org. And they've got the ROV camera on all the time, so you can actually go in there and see what they're doing. I love that kind of stuff. So, but that's it for science because I feel like crap.
Okay.
All right.
Then it's time for feedback. We got a new iTunes review, 5 stars from Rebel Ox.
Yay.
Really enjoy this podcast. They are articulate and interesting, and I love the science and political segments. Keep at it, guys. And Lauren!
Yay!
Yay!
Yay! I'm tired. Oh, okay. That's awesome. Thank you, Rebel Ox.
And from Rebecca from Georgia via email. I've enjoyed the podcast. I like your back and forth conversation. Sorry about the people who have not listened well enough to what you say, the ones who are terrified that you might bring some sci-fi or some fun sci-fi to the podcast. LOL. You really did make it quite apparent that it was a preview of a new podcast. I'll be glad to subscribe to it and give you some 5-star ratings. Lauren, you are an amazing chick, and I particularly love your science bits. I'm glad there are women who love sci-fi and nerdom.
Oh, Rebecca, from a small town in Georgia, I love you.
And Lauren, I also love your science bits. Wink, wink.
I love your science bits, too.
And from Duncan via email. Hi, guys. Longtime listener, Patreon subscriber. Is it just confirmation bias on my part, or has Atheist Nomads become somewhat of a LGBTIQ news show? I have nothing against this. It's just not of particular interest to me. It's not bad or wrong that you're doing this, if it's true, but I'd like to understand if this is a deliberate direction the show has taken, or whether I'm just mistaken. But it does seem to be coming up on such a regular basis now. Cheers, Duncan from Australia. Duncan, no, it has not been an intentional direction we've taken. We followed the news where the news goes, and lately LGBT issues have been up in the news quite a bit.
At least here in the United States.
Yes, in the U.S. The religious right is filled with a bunch of assholes, and their current whipping boys are gays, lesbians, and trans people.
Yeah, seriously.
And blacks and Hispanics.
Like, me and Duncan had some back and forth on this and just chatting. First thing I told him was like, we talk about groups of people that get fucked over a fair piece. Children, black people, LGBT, even atheists on occasion. Right-wing fuck jobs just really make our job easy. They just seem to focus on one group for a while.
Yep. And eventually this issue will be put to bed, so to say, and we will move on to others. And, realistically, LGBT issues were a common topic when the fight for marriage equality was going strong. And with those first couple of victories in court and in ballot initiatives, we covered those. And then the pace got picked up enough that we slowed down. And we slowed down until there was more big news. And now we've gotten to more big news. Unfortunately, it's bad.
Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of election stuff from us just because that's what's in the news right now. And Trump dumping, as I like to call it.
Yep.
But
Cheeto chomping.
Keep writing in if you guys have any questions or think that we're moving in a weird direction or something. Call us out on it.
Or if you don't like the way the show is going, fucking send us ideas.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah.
Crowdsource our fucking
feedback.
Show notes.
Oh, nice, Wesley. Very good.
And for a good point on a recent example is we had Callie on to talk about the Republican platform portion, the Republican platform's bit on gays or the LGBT community. And the reason for that was because, that platform had just been released and it's the platform of one of our two major parties, the one that's currently in control of our legislature. That's a big deal here.
Yeah, that's true. All right, fucking Duncan's down in Australia anyway, so our politics don't directly affect people down there as much as they would if they lived here.
Yeah.
They're too busy enjoying their winter.
Yeah. And anyway, the election season will be over soon. And then the new state legislative seasons will be beginning.
Yeah, then we'll be able to talk about our newly minted president.
Beginning of the year, it's always weird stuff coming out of state legislatures that we cover a lot of. Because, that's where all the weird stuff happens.
It all comes out of the woodwork.
Oh, yeah. State houses. Oh, man. Anyway, from Randy via YouTube on episode 157. This was fun and informative. What a great conversation. If you want to get in touch with us, you can always email us at contact@atheistnomads.com. Call us at 541-203-0666. Hit us up on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, anywhere else. And leave us reviews on iTunes, Google Play, and all the other places.
What about Pat?
Oh, crap, yes. And I just scrolled right past Pat.
Oh, no.
Pat via Facebook.
Pat.
Regarding episode 156, just to clarify a bit, what the police chief in Cleveland wanted to suspend was the state open carry law. Of course, Kasich told him no.
Wow.
Yeah, the story we saw was skewed. Yeah. So thank you for the clarification.
We don't know. We're in the freaking Northwest. We're kind of sheltered.
And we have 3 new patrons.
Yay!
Holy shit.
Nate, Willow, and Grant.
Oh my god, that's awesome.
Nate, Willow, and Grant. Holy shit. Thank you.
You guys are amazing and awesome.
And Willow, I fucking love your name.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Because
Buffy.
I never watched Buffy. Totally never.
I didn't religiously watch it when I was growing up.
So one thing I do want to throw out to our patrons is there anything you would request from us as bonuses for patrons? Do you actually like getting extra content like we did 2 weeks ago? Do you like, what would you like? Would you like, just let us know. Give us some feedback because we'd like to do a bit more for you guys.
They just want the swag.
All right, and that is it for today. We will be back next week with an interview.
Boy.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Atheist Nomads. You can find show notes and contact information at atheistnomads.com. Follow us on Twitter at Atheist Nomads, and like us on Facebook at facebook.com/Atheist Nomads. Please subscribe to the show in iTunes, Stitcher, or your podcatcher of choice, and while you're there, feel free to leave us a review. Theme music is courtesy of Sturdy Fred. Until next time, this has been the Atheist Nomads.